Section 187 of the Lincoln Story Book by Henry L. Williams. Cabinet Talk. Read for LibriVox.org. Like all persons whose early life was passed in seclusion from the exhibitions common in society eager for anything to animate jaded nerves, Mr. Lincoln at Washington sought distraction in his brief intervals for them. One of the shows he tolerated (he called all such sights so) was the séances of Charles E. Schachel. Phoebus! What a name! This medium came to the Capitol in 1863, under eminent auspices, and the President and his wife, members of the Cabinet, and other first citizens were induced to patronize the illusions. The spirits were irreverent, pinching Stanton's and plucking Welles's beard. As for the President, a rapping at his feet announced an Indian eager to communicate. "Well, sir," said the President, "happy to hear what His Indian Majesty has to say. We have recently had a deputation of the Red Indians, and it was the only deputation, black, white, or red, which did not volunteer advice about the conduct of the war." The riding under cover trick was played. A paper covered with Mr. Stanton's handkerchief was found before the President, scrawled with marks interpreted as advice for action, by Henry Knox. No one knew him, but the lecturer said he was the first Secretary of War in the Revolution. The recipient said it was not Indian talk. He transferred it to Mr. Stanton as concerning his province. He asked for General Knox's forecast as to when the rebellion would be put down. The reply was a jumble of wild truisms purporting to be from great spirits, from Washington to Wilberforce. "Well," exclaimed the President, "opinions differ as much among the saints as among the—sinners." He glanced at the Cabinet whence the materialized spectres were to emerge, if called upon, and added, "The Celestials' talk and advice sound very much like the talk of my Cabinet." He called for Stephen A. Douglas as his dearest friend. [Footnote: Stephen Arnold Douglas was so patriotic at the rebellion's outbreak that Lincoln forgave him all the politically hostile past. Douglas held his new silk hat, Lincoln's abhorrence, at the first inauguration. Douglas left the field for home, where he assisted in raising the first volunteer levy by his eloquence. To speak, if not appear. The reporter affirms that a voice like the lamented Little Giant's was heard, and if others thought they recognized it the President must have been more affected than he allowed. But the eloquent statesman also breathed platitudes in which the illustrious auditor said he believed, whether it comes from spirit or human. Here Mr. Schachel became prostrated, and Mrs. Lincoln compassionately suggested an adjournment. The spiritualist did not see the sarcasm in Mr. Lincoln's remarks, and claimed that he was not only a convert, but that he was himself a medium. [Footnote: There is serious evidence for this fact. He was at all events a spiritualist. See Was Lincoln a Spiritualist? By Mrs. Nettie Coburn Maynard, 1891.] End of Section 187. This recording is in the public domain.